what exactly is, am I even saying it right? Kalshi? Kalshi?
Kalshi, yeah. So it's a New York-based app that is growing increasingly popular. They're called prediction markets. Essentially, these companies, Kalshi, another popular one is Polymarket, argue that they are not gambling. They use a little-known order called contracts trading from the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Dates back to the 19th century, and it usually had to do with the prices of resources. But instead, how they do it is that you can essentially say if something's going to happen, yes or no. And so they argue that they can operate in all 50 states, including in states like Massachusetts that have gaming regulation. And it wasn't a problem until very recently, over the last couple of years. They've expanded into sports and into politics. And now it's kind of gotten the attention. Massachusetts became the first state in the United States to receive a preliminary injunction prohibiting them from operation pending trial. But we are certainly not the only state suing these companies for operating as unlicensed or illegal in some cases gamblers. They're also staring down lawsuits from the states of New York, Ohio, Illinois, Arizona, Montana, Nevada, New Jersey, a few others, as well as federal investigations into fraud from the SDNY. Um, um, so it's a unique, new, novel problem for the law system to kind of begin to figure out how these guys do fit. Where essentially it all boils down to what is a bet.
Okay. And so what exactly does this court order say?
Sure. So from the date of the court order, they have 30 days to shut down operations. They have to preserve any and all materials regarding operations in the state of Massachusetts. And it's forward looking. So if you placed a bet before they shut down on, say, the Super Bowl, your bets are fine. But if you try to place one after, you might get a warning. They have to put out information explaining why they can't operate in Massachusetts and all that good stuff.
Do we know how much they've actually been operating in Massachusetts? Like how big of a part?
We
Uh,
don't have a number. This preliminary injunction came before discovery, which is normally when we find out stuff like that. That being said, from just public information that they provided the court and that the AG used in the suit, they have about 2 million users nationwide. And they have been on an advertising blitz nationwide. If you open your phone and you're scrolling any form of social media, I guarantee you'll come across Polymarket or Kalshi in some way or another. In fact, the day that this decision came down from the court, that their appeal was denied, and that they had to begin shutting down operations over the next 30 days, they signed Giannis Antetokounmpo on as a brand marketer.
and how long has this case been proceeding through the court? Like when did Massachusetts first take action?
September 25.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so pretty fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
preliminary injunctions are um the reason why it's impressive that we're the first and why from a legal perspective is that they're not often given. They're essentially a an agreement of this is what the status quo is, and we need to have a cause of action to maintain the status quo. In this case, that because Kalshi is in violation of Massachusetts state law, and the court is likely to find that they're in violation of Massachusetts gaming regulations, that the way to maintain the status quo is to prevent them from doing further damage, aka in the state's case, tax collections from gaming, and harming Massachusetts residents by not being in compliance with gaming regulations, whether they are or not. We wouldn't find that out till discovery, but the preliminary injunction just kind of keeps them in the status quo and goes, "Yep, they can't operate business because we don't know the breadth of the business here."
Do they have another avenue as far as the courts?
Yeah, of course, they can always appeal. The reason they have 30 days specifically is to give them time to appeal, and that if the appeal is successful or not, should not take more than 30 days. This is a pretty high profile corporate case, and both sides are going to want this figured out as soon as possible. Caution so they can either continue operating in Massachusetts or just figure out what their next move is. But it's a case that is going to be, it's definitely pulling ahead in terms of its timeline as all those other states that I mentioned. So, as it comes into view, other states are going to be looking at how Massachusetts was successful in this lawsuit, what they did right, if as they go through their own causes of action, what pitfalls to avoid so that they can get preliminary injunctions and then get kind of a similar impact And at the same time, this now opens up that this is a burgeoning industry. So how you can go forward from here. If the state does win an appeal, they can look at other companies and making sure that they are operating in a way that the state wants to see from the gaming commission.
And so if, they're probably not going to do this, but Kalshi probably could just go to the gaming commission, correct, and try to operate that way.
They could. In fact, there's three open. They would specifically need a Category 3 online operator license. It's the same one that FanDuel and DraftKings have. It's for online operators that don't really have a base casino, but it's not as simple as grabbing a quick license. The Mass Gaming Commission has a lot of regulations that it has for online guarantees of liquidity, making sure they pay it off. The big argument from Kalshi that it hinges on of why it's different from gambling is that because they are trading contracts, you're either the yes contract or the no contract, they don't make money from winning or losing. They make money from the swapping of contracts, right? So they don't care whether you win or lose. They're taking their cut either way.
Mhm.
Versus with a casino, you'd be collecting winnings on losses, right? So it's a different business model is their kind of main point of contention, and that's true in almost all of their cases. These companies, Kalshi and Polymarket, are really insistent that they're not gambling so that they can operate in all 50 states. So if they wanted to operate in Massachusetts, they would have to admit that they are gambling, which they're not going to want to do because then there are markets like California, a huge market with tons of money, but sports gaming is illegal in the state of California. So, they have to look at it from a national picture. Not to mention that, again, the Mass Gaming Commission has a wide variety of regulations that they would have to meet. They'd have to open up to a lot of regulation, and that's really not how these companies have wanted to operate, given that they scaled up so quickly.
You mentioned Polymarket a couple of times.
Yep.
Have they tried to enter the Massachusetts market? Are they involved
They
in
are.
any
You can go
localized
on your phone
activities?
right now and place a trade on Polymarket. I don't know specifically. You'd have to ask the AG if they are planning a lawsuit, but it would not shock me if they were. They have a successful game plan here. It'd be a very similar cause of action. I don't know the specifics on how Kalshi and Polymarket are different. I believe Polymarket is not based in the US, so that might also make it tricky. And well, I believe Kalshi, in fact, check me on this. I believe Kalshi is based in New York. And I know Polymarket has a significant New York presence, but I think they're incorporated overseas.